So it is 7 o'clock. Today is August 3rd, 2021. This is a meeting of the Hannah City Village. So if everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Fred, you're our only guest.
All right. I address the council.
Yes, you may. What was your name?
What I'm here for is to see if the village would approve a proclamation in honor of a day to be proclaimed as a Larry Whitmore Day. This was something that I was working on when I was mayor, and in talking with the Park District, we were trying to get a specific day where we could honor Larry for his service to the community and to the Park District. And actually, I think the Park District was here last meeting. I was unable to attend, but and they were telling you a little bit about August 28th. They're going to have a kind of a mini Heritage Days and going to dedicate the gymnasium in honor of both Larry and Lori Whitmore. So I'd come up with a proclamation and just like the board to review it and approve it if they so feel so desire to. But it's just a proclamation in honor of Larry Whitmore. His many years of coaching and working with the young people in our community. So that is my request. I don't know if you want me to read the proclamation or if you want to look at it. And the proclamation would actually proclaim Larry Whitmore Day, Saturday, August 28th. It just basically, whereas Larry Whitmore has been a resident in the Hannah City area for over 60 years, whereas he raised his children, Jennifer and Joe, in Hannah City, and whereas he taught in the Farmington School District for 40 years, retiring in 1999, whereas he was a coach for 42 years, coaching 3 different sports, baseball, basketball, track and field. And they asked him to come back after he retired to work a couple extra years in the coaching area. Whereas as coach, he won several baseball sectionals, and whereas he coached multiple individuals and relay teams to state appearances, and one pole vaulter who later won an NCAA indoor meet and qualified for 3 Olympic trials, whereas he coached basketball teams to state finals 10 times, earning a 3rd place finish 1 year, and he coached the 1998 8th grade team to a state championship. That was the team that went on in high school and won, or got 2nd place, I think. Mm-hmm. Whereas he served the village of Hannah City by campaigning and supporting the establishment of the Hannah City Park District, whereas he served as a volunteer with the Hannah City Park District and Heritage Days, whereas he has positively impacted the lives of many young people in our community with his unselfish dedication to mentoring, teaching, and coaching, whereas the village of Hannah City is very proud of the service and achievement of this distinguished citizen. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Anthony Fricksell, village president of the village of Hannah City, Illinois, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of Illinois and the village of Hannah City, do hereby proclaim Saturday, August 28th, 2021 as Larry Whitmore Day in the village of Hannah City, Illinois, dated this 28th day of August, 2021. And it'd be signed by Mayor Fricksell. So that is the proclamation that I came up with that I've been working on. Like I said, been working with the Park District. We were trying to get it done prior, but different things came up with COVID and that. So they are planning on having a celebration on the 28th. that is my request. Give you the proclamation here.
Any discussion? Any concerns?
I think it's just a procedural thing. It wasn't on the agenda to vote, so we probably have to wait and vote on the 17th.
What I'm thinking,
Okay.
even though it's only a proclamation.
Right. Yeah, I don't see any problem with it, so we'll get it on for the next meeting, Fred, and get it signed and get it back to you.
We've got one more before the 28th, I think, so
Yeah.
that should be okay. Is there a problem with it saying Larry Whitmore proclamation on? I guess we're live now, so it
No,
probably doesn't matter. The cat's out of the bag.
Matter of fact, I think they told him today that they were
Okay.
going to be honoring him, I think. So
Okay.
I had a call from Megan Welker today, and she said, we can't keep it secret. So,
Got it.
Are you kidding?
so she was going over and letting him know that they were doing it.
That's great.
I have it on listed for the next meeting.
Thank you, sir. So next item on is approve the treasurer's report.
No minutes.
Oh, yes, minutes, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Thank you. Everybody should have gotten a copy of the minutes in their packet, and probably in their email. Any corrections or adjustments that need to be made? Because I know Trustee Johnson scoured those for hours.
Takes up a large part of my life.
You know,
It takes up a large part of my life.
so do we have a motion to approve the,
I'll make a motion, we approve the previous meeting's minutes as published.
a motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Pearson? Any further discussion? Roll call it. Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Now we'll get down to the treasurer's report.
So it's looking different just because I can't remember the last 3 weeks. So I don't know what was the last payroll report. So there's back to when I was originally gone up to today. And then you're going to see, I think there's 4 or 5 different warrant lists. So now we'll have the L1 fund, which is the general, and then TIF and BDB if we have invoices out of there. Since now all of that is going through Locus, that will be an additional warrant list. And then we have, I'm now running MFTs, so I don't know where we are as far as voting the MFT. Whether Rod needs to approve that. I don't remember back.
Yeah, we approved it and then we revised it and approved the revised program, and it was that's been approved by the state as well. So we're good to go and everything.
But each invoice he has to
Oh,
approve.
okay. So each time we have an invoice, we have to vote on it here.
MFT specifically.
I don't think
Yeah,
we've had any invoices yet.
we did. We just
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
for the what was that spray packaging when they came.
Okay.
So
That's why we've got the standing thing underneath your report, vote on MFT expenses.
right. So that will be an additional warrant list. And that is in there. Yeah. So that's it for all my stuff.
Yeah, just one thing I want to emphasize. So basically what we've done is, by the nature of all the things we put in place, is we're now running 4 sets of books, really. We've got our normal general fund set of books, we've got our BDD set of books, we've got our TIF set of books, we've got our MFT set of books. And that's created additional load and stress on Lori. And she's done a great job, and her and Deanna have done a great job of helping us sort through all that. But I think it's important to note that the workload associated with that, and that's a good thing. It's good to have those separated, and we run them as individual businesses, but it has created some additional resource needs from Lori and Deanna. So,
And I had COVID during all that, so I can't guarantee it's correct.
The auditor will find it.
This is true.
So do we need to vote on that?
We'll do
No, we'll do that
MFT
after.
but we need to vote.
for approval.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report and pay all outstanding bills.
Second.
Motion by Carter, second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Johnson?
Yes.
Synek?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Hubengarden?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'll get it.
Johnson. Down to engineers report. Brandon?
Good evening. Sorry I couldn't be there, but I don't have anything to report, and wanted to make myself available if questions come up the rest of the evening, but I really don't have anything to report to the board.
When do you think we'll hear from the contractor on the last bit of work on the MFT?
Yeah, in the past, it has always been farther into the fall than we wish. The smaller towns tend to get to the end of the schedule. If you'd like, I'd be happy to call and inquire, but in the past, it's always been later in the season, certainly late August into September.
Yeah, the guys just want to plan, so that maybe if you could have Joe follow up or something and see if you can get at least a ball.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
And Brian, should I coordinate with Roger then and yourself?
I'm sorry?
Should I coordinate, respond to Roger and yourself or anybody else?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just Rod.
Okay, yeah, I will do that. I'll make a note of it. I don't think we'll be surprised by them showing up by the end of the week, but I will inquire and try to get us a little bit of heads up. I can absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not our
plan.
It's not our expectation to be done. It's just if we can know it would be in this time frame or whatever, that'd be great.
Right. Yeah, I can appreciate the desire as well to notify people on the streets as well. So yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Brian. I will do that.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Brandon. Down to attorney report. Michael, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things for everyone. First, there's 2 ordinances in your packets tonight. One is to implement rules governing remote attendance at meetings. Now that we've got all this fancy new high-tech gear, it seems more feasible that some remote meetings might be taking place down the road. And by remote, I mean 1 or more trustees attending remotely will still always need a quorum physically present, unless there's a disaster declaration in effect, like there was prior to this past 2 Saturdays ago, I believe. So that would establish some rules to allow that to happen. The other ordinance is establishing a temporary liquor license classification. We didn't have one in the code, and it's been brought to our attention that some temporary liquor licenses are being sought in the village, so we figured safest play is to establish a classification for them. I won't elaborate too much on those just now, but if you have questions while those are up for discussion, I'm here. Other item is we're working on a memorandum of annexation agreements for prior annexation agreements that have been entered into, but ended up not being recorded. So we're going to file and record with the county an all-encompassing memorandum to cover all of those. Our plan is to get it to Brian this week. And then the last thing is we have on, I believe it's the 16th of this month, a planning commission meeting covering, I believe it's a pool fence variance and fence permit for a front yard fence. So that will be taking place a little bit later this month. That's all I have.
I would speak to the, it was going to cost us to do, I think we have 60 or so past pre-annexations or annexations that were not filed before we put that process in place. And so it's possible that somebody could buy a home and not know that it had been annexed, and then therefore they didn't know what code they were living under and so forth. And so Caleb brought up the point that we should go ahead and do that. My reluctance was it was going to cost $57 for every one of those we record. So that's $3,500 just in recording fees plus the lawyer fees to do them for all 60. So last time I was down there, we asked them if we could just do one memorandum of understanding and file just one. And so that's what he's preparing. And they said they would accept that. So
Just list every pin on there that needs it.
Essentially, and legal descriptions. And that's what's taking a little bit of time right now is going through all those legals to make sure they're correct. Some of them get long. One more thing to add. We could, if we wanted to tonight, go ahead and issue that proclamation. We can pass it around for the board to vote on and have Tony make the proclamation if he wants to, or we can save it for next meeting. However you guys want to handle that.
Since it is a proclamation.
Correct.
I say we vote on it tonight and be done.
I do add it to new business.
Yeah, that's where I would put it.
Yeah.
We got Hannah City Day stuff there anyway. So
Yeah.
okay, I'm making a note.
Okay. Anything else, Michael?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Committee reports.
Nope.
Oh. Man, I already marked you off. I already know what you're going to say.
I've got in the packet, there's a list of just some highlights. There's only I want to speak to a couple of them. First is the American Recovery Act. Lori and I attended a webinar on that. It was riveting. And we have gotten ourselves registered. And the first step is you have to register, then say that you want the money. We were asking the question, why would anybody register and say they don't want the money? But maybe there would be. But our estimate is roughly around $165,000 of our allocation. The way I understand that it's going to happen is once you're registered, you get your first payment within 30 days and your second payment with around the 12-month mark from the time that you register. But there's still a process after that you have to submit projects for approval. So I don't know if they actually transfer us the money or if they just allocate it and say it's out there, and then you have to. So that all we don't understand at this point. But we are fully registered. We've done all the things that we need to do, and based upon the rules that we sorted through them, probably our best option for spending the dollars are for infrastructure projects, either related to water or sewer, are the two that we probably have the best option of getting our money and getting support for that based upon after going through the criteria. I've asked Jim to put together projects and get estimates and so forth. So once we get the money, then we can come and say, okay, here's one that we want to do. Kind of what's highlighting the list now is my understanding that there's one lift station that you guys have had on the list to kind of redo or repair for a couple of years that we haven't had the funding for. So he's trying to get together a quote for that. I think it's going to be around $35,000 for that. And then we also are looking at the water meters. So if we're going to go ahead and start using some money to replace the water meters and see if that had an impact on our water loss. So those are kind of the two things that we're putting together. But the next steps are once we get the money, we'll bring the projects here for you all to review and say, yeah, we want to do that, or no, we don't want to do that. And if you've got other ideas, holler, let us know. Happy to hear them. And then our inspector with Maurer Stutz has left, and we got a rotation going on there because the guys come in and then they do it and they get promoted or moved to another job or what have you, and they can't do it anymore. So we found a licensed subcontractor who lives locally in the Lake Camelot area that Lori and I met with by the phone, and then we met with him again today. And I think we're going to move forward with him. His name's Matt Rademacher, and we're going to subcontract our inspecting with him. Like I said, he's licensed both residential and commercial. He's got all the requirements. We got all his information, his insurance information. He's not an employee. We'll just subcontract him like we would any other vendor. And so that's the way we would pay him. We offered him a rate and mileage just like we did the previous people, so there should be no cost impact. I think it'll actually probably be cheaper given the mileage will be less and so forth. So I just wanted you updated on that we're moving forward with the new inspector. That's it.
That's it?
That's
Do
it.
you want to talk about anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Surprised you're really long-winded.
I know. Johnson's going to go yet, so.
Okay, so now down to committee reports. Finance,
I have nothing to report.
sanitary, gates.
Nothing to report.
Oh, you guys are making this way too easy tonight.
It's going to break the street.
Yeah. Streets and alleys.
I got one invoice here from the city of Farmington for the spray patch equipment and material for $1,480.50.
Got a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, a motion by Weaver,
Second.
second by Johnson. And the total is $1,480.50. And if you're not, this is just work that's already been done. This is the invoice that we got done from the spray patching.
And so the MFT has 3 parts: spray patching, crack filling, and then the oil wood chip. And Roger and Tom did a nice job here. They borrowed the equipment or rented it, I guess, from the Village of Hannah City and hired one of their people, and they did it all themselves rather than subcontracting. I don't remember what the line item was we had in the MFT, but I think we saved $5,000 or $6,000 doing it this way rather than. So it was good.
So motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Hydak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Hoopengarger,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's all I got.
And that's all I have. Police and planning.
From 7/4 to 7/24, have 45 incident reports. Active month.
Fireworks.
I would guess some of it. Yeah, it makes you wonder. That's the first report on the 4th of July, but there was 3 different reports, 14, 15, and 16, so it was evenly spread out all 3 weeks too. So that's all I got.
I did get a hold of Lieutenant Butterfield on police and planning issues. Reached out to him. He's actually been coaching his daughter's softball team on Tuesday night. So tonight is their last night. He is going to try to attend our next meeting and interact with the board a little bit. And
He could probably still get to a 6 a year if he just did every single one till we. I think they're only required to do 6 a year, so
right.
Every other month, so he can still meet his quota.
Yeah, I wanted to reach out to him. I knew with COVID pretty much being over and everything, make sure that, the board felt comfortable. He felt comfortable coming in and stuff, so. Thank you, Caleb. Water.
All I've got is 4 checks for a total of $250 for escrow refunds.
4 checks, escrow $250. That's it?
That's it. Wow. We are moving along.
Yeah. Building ground. Mr. Scheidel.
Did hear back from Mr. Eric Shangraw from PEA, and they said they can do September 20th as our cleanup day, so that is the date we're going with. Working with Megan Walker in the Park District, they're having a little garage sale, village-wide garage sale on the 18th, and so I thought that would be best to coincide those two. So anyone asks, September 20th, he did provide some materials regarding guidance for what can be thrown out or what can't be thrown out. We'll make sure to distribute that as best as possible.
Do you have a copy that I can steal tonight?
No, it's still electronic.
Okay, just email it to me. That's fine. How have we communicated that in the past? You put it on the
I have
website.
it on the web and put it on in the city.
Shoppers pull under there.
Yeah.
And the city happenings.
Okay. We'll get. I put out an action item for us to communicate that. Good. It's good news.
Yeah, that's really good. Thanks for that. The other business.
Yes.
Are
You
we,
can do all the, you can do it under C because we've got a few votes to wait on.
So you let them know. He said you let them know.
So everybody in front of you should have a copy of the ordinance. An ordinance amending the village code to implement rules for the remote participation at regular and special meetings of the village. Basically, just says that we still must have a quorum, and then that the quorum must vote to allow.
I believe. No, I think the way it's drafted is if any trustee who's part of the quorum wants there to be a vote, they can request that a vote be taken.
Okay.
Otherwise, as long as there's a quorum, we can let them in.
So as long as there's a quorum,
Correct. Nothing new about that. That's in the state statute.
what were the criteria?
Personal illness or disability, out of town for either personal business or business of the city, or family or other emergency.
I mean, I have to have a legitimate reason for being gone. I don't think traveling is
So personal.
If it's work-related travel, whether it's personal
I
work.
don't work, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you work at being retired.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
So that wouldn't qualify. Personal travel wouldn't.
Not that I see, no, with these three criteria, unless it's personal travel for an emergency.
Okay. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come.
yeah, I don't, who knows? I could be here till
Next year.
next year. It just depends on when it comes in.
Can they require a vote?
What's the ordinance number?
And the trustees object. Oh, wait, no, and then they can ask that a vote be taken
Object or what?
object to allowing that trustee to attend remotely.
Oh, okay.
Or essentially just participate. So there just wouldn't be
But
able to
would
vote.
that trustee be able to vote at all?
The trustee would be able to vote unless another trustee objects and requests a vote, and that vote doesn't get a majority. They could still attend, as I believe, but just won't be able to participate in any of the agenda
Okay.
items.
What would be the purpose of, I mean, why would somebody object to them? Because they think it's not a legit reason for them not being there, or?
That could be a reason. I believe the reason needs to be stated in a notice to the clerk and
See where.
village
That's what I'm wondering. You
Uh-huh.
can't just randomly, you would have to.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, I don't really know what the basis of the objection would be, but I'm sure an objection could be brought. Maybe it's a hot button issue, something being voted on, and they think that this particular trustee should be here in person to vote
Yeah.
on it. That could be the issue.
That would be very complicated. You have
Yeah.
to prove they're out of town for a reason that doesn't meet the,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
One of those three criteria. Yeah.
like a carry
Well, you
on
also
for a
have to
month.
put in you also have to request or put in that you're gonna be gone 72 hours before,
Gotcha.
the
Or as
meeting or whatever.
soon as practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you get sick within
Oh, yeah.
24 hours prior, you can let Denise and Brian know. So I think I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the 72-hour requirement is mostly just for things that have been planned ahead of time, like a work-related travel,
Yeah.
where they know weeks or months in advance. But getting sick or having a family emergency, you can't give 72 hours notice of that. That's why, as soon as possible.
Everybody should have in front of them the ordinance. The ordinance number is 21-0801, correct?
Are you, who's writing these up?
I think I might have prepared this one.
Yeah,
I got one mixed up.
there's no, it shouldn't be 2021, it should be 21.
21-0801. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Hubengartner,
Second.
second by Sider. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Hubengartner,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak.
Yes.
Motion carries. And the next thing on the agenda is the ordinance amending the Village of Hannah City liquor license ordinance and establish a liquor license classification for temporary liquor license. As Mike alluded to earlier, we did not have a classification for a temporary liquor license. So this would just cover us as the village to make sure that if we are issuing these, that they are being classified. Also, if there is some type of special event, there's been a fee assigned to it in the ordinance. And it's only good not to exceed 7 days. Did I brief that enough?
Yeah.
So this will be ordinance 21-0802, an ordinance amending the Village of Hannah City liquor license, ordinance and establishment liquor license classification for temporary liquor license. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Any further discussion on this one?
Does the $50? I mean, we can still vote to waive that fee, even though it
Yeah.
says the $50 has to be knocked out.
Yeah, that's just, I'd say that would be just for if we had someone coming in wanting to put up something else besides like the firehouse is having in town for an event or something.
But we can waive the fee without having
Right.
somebody give us problems.
I believe actually the mayor would have the discretion
okay.
to waive the fee, but I would caution the mayor in waiving fees and try to aim them toward things that are more charitable and beneficial to the village, like fundraising events.
Yeah.
What about the time frame, the 7 days? Can that be adjusted?
Under but not over. I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't really see much in the way of limitations on that time frame, but I don't think you want to be handing out temporary licenses for much longer than a week.
Or consecutive ones that roll on
Right.
for 7 days and 7 days, and
Right.
to get around having a real permanent liquor license. Yeah.
Because those fees would probably, once you hit so many weeks of that, those fees would probably total out to more than it would be for a standard.
Oh yeah. for sure.
So we got a motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Any further discussion?
Have a roll call.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready. Gates,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
and Pearson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So Michael, just for clarification, for Hannah City Days, I've got on here a vote on to waive the liquor license for the, do we need to vote on that, or can the mayor just handle that?
Mayor can handle it, but if the mayor wants to take a poll of the board, that's okay.
Okay.
And next up is other business C. So Megan was here last time and she would like to, they have applied for it? They still have to apply for it, don't they?
Well, we didn't have
temporary
a
liquor license.
We didn't have a temporary liquor license
Right.
to apply for.
Right. But now there will be.
Yeah. Yeah, so she'll still need to come in and
Apply for it, yeah. I think it'd be okay to preemptively waive that fee. We can fairly assume that they are going to apply.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're covered under that to make sure we had all the paperwork for it too.
Oh, yeah.
Along those lines on I, does that mean, should that vote to waive food truck permit fees?
Yes.
Instead of food truck permits, period?
We can make that correction.
All right.
So Megan asked us to, waive the liquor license fee for their event. What does everybody feel about it?
Yes.
Yep.
So do we even need to vote on it?
You don't have to unless you want to.
As far as vote to waive the food truck permit fees, that does take a vote.
I make a motion we waive the food truck permit fees.
Second.
A motion by Johnson, second by Gardner. Any further discussion? Roll call at Weaver,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yep.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson.
Yep.
Gates.
Yes.
I just make sure Megan knows I still need to get them. But they
Yeah,
just
I'll
won't be
contact
charged.
her.
Yeah. That way they don't forget to fill out the paperwork and stuff, or notify the food truck servers doing it.
Then upon Fred's request for the red proclamation for Larry Whitmore, do we have any discussion? Does anybody have any objections to it?
I make a motion that we do the proclamation for Larry Whitmore.
Second.
I have a motion by Weaver, second by Gardner. Any further discussion? Roll call at Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carries. Fred, if you want this. You want that? Yeah. And then other business is not on here. One thing that I was talking with a person up in Peoria Heights, asking them what they do for their rental properties and how they get in and check them and check with landlords. And one of the things they do is they establish a mandatory registration for all of their landlords. It's a yearly fee. And then it also comes with, I believe it comes with an inspection. And it's a licensed inspector comes in, basically, looks through the house, make sure, they don't have hoarders and things like that, piling stuff up, make sure that, it's livable conditions. If there are issues with it, then the property owner's given notification, not a, write-up or anything, but given notification and given X amount of days to fix the delinquent stuff. So, if they don't comply, then they have to, I think they're fined after that. But when I talked to them, he said they hadn't had anybody even balk at, any adjustment they made, like outlets and things like that. It's like, oh, thanks, we didn't know this code had changed or something, So that's something I just wanted to bring up to the board. It does bring in a little revenue stream, and it's not really that. It's just to help keep the village also, keep some of the landlords, have them to keep maintaining their properties, because some people will just come in and just be like, yeah, here, it's $300 a month, I'm going to Florida, I don't care, and they don't ever check on their property except for when their money's due to them every month.
Do you have a ballpark of how many rental properties there are in the village?
A lot.
How many you got, Rod?
2.
He's got 2, so.
At least 2.
Yeah. 3.
I would say probably
We can
less
run
than
on-
100,
We can run a list of rental.
530 some, 560 some
Residential.
residences. I would imagine probably around 100.
Wow.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because I know there's some over by like the reservoirs.
That's a lot of properties.
Yeah, and then it talks about, that like there are multiple dwellings, it would be like initial 100 and then 27 being like an additional, if you have more than 4, then it's 25 for each additional instead of 100 for each additional. So,
Yeah.
that's how their code's broken down in Peoria Heights. That would be up to the board to decide, if that's something they wanted to do.
And that's a monthly fee that they're doing?
It's yearly.
Yearly.
Yeah, and they said they've actually converted, probably in the last 2 years, they've converted about 20 of their properties from renter, where the landlords have ended up going in and selling, made these upgrades and make sure everything was in code, and done either sell them for owner occupancy or doing a contract for deed. So those, and they've seen a pretty good work out of it. So, and that's something we could, I don't know if our building inspector could do that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're talking, if you figure that's an hour for everyone once a year, that's $7,500 of cost. Now, I understand you can put that in the fee to the homeowner or to the landlord.
And then, just, I know like Peoria Heights, I know there's a flat 100 right off the top. So
You'd have to stagger. Starting something like that cold, you couldn't do them all at one time.
right.
You'd have to have everybody sign up, and some people get inspected right away, and some people get inspected 6 months later, and just have them do rolling times throughout the year, because he's got other customers, and they'll be able to do 100 of them in a row, or
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And like I said, that's something we would have to bring up.
It would significantly increase the inspection load for the guy we just brought on. And then I guess that you could debate, do you have to do it every year?
Right.
Do it every 3 years or
2 years. Or if there's complaints about it, then it's a.
is there? Do we have a problem that we're trying to solve? Is there?
We've had some neglected properties in the past.
That would come out to like $750 fee that each house, if there's 100 homes, then we'd have to pay $7,500.
And when I said 100, you've got like 511 Maine's got 8 apartments in there. You've got the one over on 116. It's got four or six.
I think it's 6.
So, you know,
And then, each individual house, it's not broken.
I mean, I don't see unless you charge $1,000.
Would be $100 per house.
Okay.
That's assuming that the inspection only takes an hour, which is,
Right.
and maybe that's plenty of time.
I just see it costing us more than what we
Yeah, I
would be
doubt it's gonna take
bringing
an
in.
hour by the time he does a report, put something in a file saying it's been inspected. And right now we're on site and some paperwork afterwards.
And like I said, it can be, any amount, and it can be every 3 years. I just wanted to bring it up to the board, so.
Typically, if they're neglecting the outside, send them a ordinance violation. They clean it up. But, at this point, if John Doe is putting a new room in his house and doing electrical, we don't make anyone permit that. So for us to say rentals, have to have an inspection when we're not requiring that for anyone else.
Because it's different than a private residence. It's
Well,
a
we've got
business.
owners that live in slums,
And they should be sent notices. So, just something that was brought up to the board. Anybody else have anything? I have no correspondence. Oh, yes, I did. I had one thing for correspondence. Abigail Easley got the scholarship for this year for the Village of Hammond City. She wrote, "Thank you so much for the scholarship. I am honored to receive it and can assure you that this very generous amount of funds will greatly assist me. I will begin school in the fall again. Thank you so much. Sincerely, Annabelle Easley." So she's the one that got the scholarship grant this year.
I've got a quick update for you on the Rails to Trails, if you'd like to hear that.
Would love to hear that.
I met with Zach today and kind of filled him in on the history of the Rails to Trails project, and we'll be including him on any further meetings that we have. But basically, we are still waiting for the awarding of the grant. I have been notified that our grant has been approved, so it's just waiting for all of the paperwork to come through. Now, that approval was several weeks ago, so I figured I'd hear something by now, but I still haven't heard anything.
So based on that, Fred, this is going to happen?
It is going to happen. It looks like everything. The only thing that would stop it at this point, they are finishing up an environmental review of the project. It passed in 2015 when the grant was awarded to us at that time. Nothing has changed in that I'm aware of, so I don't see that stopping it. It's just a matter of all the paperwork getting done and all the appropriate forms being filled out. But
how much is our portion?
Our portion is like $133,000.
That's what I thought. 635.
So this grant's enough to buy the real estate?
Yes, and we.
Sure enough. I guess it's buy it whatever terms. It'll be trail banked, but it's enough to acquire the rights to it.
That's our portion.
And
Is that
like
going
a split.
to
and it will be the other grant that we were applying for through the state, the Bikeways grant that would pay 10% of our 20% portion. The state has not has decided not to put that one out for this year. So that one is off the table. So we are looking at the full 133, I think it is.
So if I'm looking at this right, railroad savings is 30,000. That's what we currently.
There's another
But
one
there's
over there
a,
under
there's
CD.
there's a
another one.
CD for 112,000.
Yeah.
In the lower right.
Lower right-hand corner, there's another one under Bank of Farmington.
Yeah, I just don't see anything listed.
114.1.
It's listed as
It's-
general.
Yeah, it's this one.
Okay, so 119 plus 30 is 120, so 150. So we
already get covered.
Yeah. We kind of quit putting it in when we got to the amount we thought would cover it years ago and start putting the money in the streets. So once we get a certain benchmark.
What I would encourage the board to do is, we've been saving for several years for this. What we're looking at is forming a commission that would oversee the design and development and maintenance of the trail. And from looking at other trails that have been developed, basically the entities would put in a set amount each year, $10,000 for each entity each year, and that would be used. We're also have established a 501c3. Once the grant has been approved, then we will be out actively soliciting funds for the 501c3 that will help us in the maintenance and the development of the trail.
Those Rock Island Trails said that they would, I thought there was some talk they would help somehow or merge somehow or
Well,
be involved or.
That's basically how we established our 501c3.
Oh, okay.
They merged with another organization that already had one. So we paid to change the name of it, and because it's still a trail.
Yeah.
So legally we were able to do that, and so we've just changed it. So we've taken over their 501c3, and it's now titled Build the Hannah City Trail. So that's how we're able to solicit funds without going through all of the legal work of establishing our own 501c3. But Zach is up to date on where we are now, and we'll be keeping him in the loop as we move forward with it.
So we put that under building and grounds by next year. But I know
It's got to be done by April of next
year.
year.
And I talked about that.
Really? Cool.
And,
It's got to be, what's got to be done?
It's got to be acquired.
That's already told.
Oh, it's got to be acquired by, okay. I was going to say.
Oh, man. It'll be years before that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, good luck on that one.
That'll be really
You might not be able to run
Portions, probably. Portions of it. Curious to see how people handle the portions that people already took some leeway with and took out. And
and then we'll have to deal with people's right of way in certain areas too, like on Hannah City Glassford Blacktop, or no, Hannah City Eden Blacktop. Because I know that there's actually a house that sets back off of it, so they would have crossed the old rail tracks to get to their house. So
Right.
yeah.
Those right of ways, and it's like they built the new firehouse on 116.
Yeah.
That they crossed the right of way, but that's all within the legal description. So we will just keep maintaining those easements that are already there.
They'd have a permit to cross. It's probably not even an easement, is it? It's probably a permit so the railroad could yank it whenever they wanted to.
Yeah, could be.
Instead of giving them full-fledged rights. So usually a lot of times railroads just permit things to happen. So you get permits to cross different places.
I know Limestone had some issues with that fire department getting that department put there when they put it in
Anytime
there.
you cross the road, you
They didn't want them to come out. They wanted them to go out back and all the way back by the camper place and then come down the dirt road to exit for there. But I know it took them a while.
Yeah.
So that would be an IDOT issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be?
The access to
The
the highway.
access to the road.
Yeah.
116
For the fire department? Or?
for the fire department.
Oh, yeah.
Because initially IDOT didn't want them to come out across that into that traffic.
Oh, yeah.
So they actually set the firehouse back further, gave a bigger opening in the front. Well, thank you, Fred. Appreciate it, sir. Anything else come before the board? Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Brandon.
Have a great night, everybody.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I thought he was still frozen.